we're going to try this again because I already did this show. And for whatever reason, the software that we use here at College Football Smothered and Covered did not put me on video. And we also could not hear my audio. So we are on take 2 of Tuesday morning's edition of College Football Smothered and Covered. Hopefully you can listen and see me. If you can, and you're watching on YouTube or Rumble or wherever, Facebook, X, let me know in the comments if you can actually see and hear me, because that would be helpful. The crew here at College Football Smothered and Covered apparently having issues with the software, and we treated it like a Nintendo cartridge. You just blow in it, and things get better. Hopefully that's the case here. We will double check just to make sure, and I do see me, and we are golden. We are golden. We are actually up and running. Finally, we do have a big show today. We will talk about week 1 game lines and week 0 game lines. BetOnline has a couple of those out, and they're very interesting to me. Of course, we're talking about week 0, Georgia Tech and Florida State. We're talking about week 1, USC, LSU, and Clemson and Georgia. So we'll do that in a little bit. We'll also talk about revenue sharing and potentially what a salary cap could look like in college athletics, because it looks like that's something that is happening soon. Like I say, every single week, every single day, every single show, if you're watching or listening online, give us a holler. Write us a review. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you dislike. Share the show. Give us 5 stars. Give us 1 star. Whatever you want to do, please do it, because we love constructive criticism here. And we also love you checking out shows across all of the new media, because we're here for you. You deserve college football 24/7, 365. So whether it's on the Believe Network or, Pate over at Late Kick or Andy Staples at On 3 or wherever, go watch and consume all of those, because you deserve it. You absolutely deserve it. All right, game lines from BetOnline are out. And these are very interesting to me, because the only 3 games that are out are the big ones. Of course, talking about Florida State and Georgia Tech in Ireland in week 0, Clemson and Georgia, I should say, in week 1 here in Atlanta, and then the next day, LSU and USC on Sunday night out there in Las Vegas. And we're going to start with week 0, Florida State and Georgia Tech. Florida State minus 12.5 over Georgia Tech. And this is fascinating to me, because obviously you want to get money on both sides. That's how big business works. That's how this business works, right? This is a massive compliment towards Mike Norvell that the Seminoles are 12.5 point favorites over Georgia Tech. You have to replace Jordan Travis, Trey Benson, Jared Verse, Johnny Wilson, Keon Coleman, and a host of others off a team last year that should have made the playoff. I still think they should have made the playoff. I think they would have made the playoff had Jordan Travis not got hurt. I think that would have been the consensus, and everybody would have been okay with that. We wouldn't have a controversy, right? You're basically, if you're picking Florida State, and if you're an odds maker, you're saying that Mike Norvell is Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, Ryan Day, Urban Meyer in his heyday at Ohio State. You're saying that it's just lather, rinse, repeat at Florida State. Is that responsible? I don't know. Is it premature? I think an argument could be made that it's premature. But there has been some progress in that department, specifically DJ Uiagalelei at quarterback. And if you've seen the quotes over the last, 2-3 weeks, when Florida State has sort of winded down and wrapped up spring practice, the results and the praise for DJU is there. But still, you have to replace so much. Is Tua Philly good? Yeah. As a number 1, we don't know. We haven't seen. But that's aggressive, especially considering the environment. This is not neutral site in Orlando or neutral site in Atlanta or neutral site in Arlington or wherever. This is neutral site in Ireland at the Aer Lingus Classic. Nothing about this is going to be normal. Nothing. So you're saying all of these new key contributors. Now, a lot of these guys have played, but we're talking about the key contributors. All of them are essentially going to have to put everything aside and say, we got this. No big deal. We're just flying across the pond. That's asking a lot. It's asking an awful. It's even asking a lot of DJU, who's been around the block 4 times. So that's surprising to me. And it's also surprising because Georgia Tech is, I think, significantly better than people realize. They're stout on the line of scrimmage. They're secure at quarterback. They've already tasted success last year, specifically in Miami. Now, we can sit here and talk about all that went on in that game with Mario. Still had to win it. Still had to win it if you're Brent Key. So, yeah, they are facing the same neutral site challenges too. So is that an equalizer? It absolutely is an equalizer. So week 0, 12.5 seems very aggressive. Now, I can't sit here and give you betting advice. That's, for a lot of reasons, that's not allowed. But 12.5 screams to me Georgia Tech in a close game or Georgia Tech backdoor cover. Because to me, Florida State's going to want to get out of there. Even if they build a big lead, Florida State's going to want to get out of there as quickly and as efficiently as possible. And they're going to try some things late. Try to experiment, figure out what their identity is. Georgia Tech, I think if they hang, will stick with whatever works, make a few minor adjustments in the game here and there, but also try to figure out a little bit about what their identity is. And again, that can be an equalizer. That can lead you to a backdoor cover. So 12.5 is giving Mike Norvell a ton of respect. Does he deserve it? Not as much as I think some other people who get the same benefit of the doubt, but he is on his way. He's not there yet. So that one jumps out to me. All right, let's spin it forward to week 1. Clemson and Georgia right here at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, about, 10 miles east of where I am in suburban Atlanta. Clemson 12.5, same exact number. Clemson 12.5 point underdogs to the Georgia Bulldogs. 12.5 points. That is disrespectful. That is insane. And yet it's the right line. That's how big the gap has gotten between Georgia and Clemson. Is that an indictment of Clemson? Yeah. Is it more of a compliment to Georgia? Yeah, I think it's more of a compliment to Georgia. We don't know what Clemson will be. Now, look, I have Clemson as the number 3 seed in my college football playoff, only because somebody has to win the ACC, and it might as well be Clemson. This doesn't count towards that record. This doesn't negate the fact that I still think Clemson will win the ACC. How are they going to win this game? They're going to have to run the ball. We know Moffitt can do that, but he doesn't have the supporting cast. I don't know what Cade Klubnik can be. Is he going to be the guy that can dink and dunk? Because that's really all he was last year. Yeah, he's more than a willing runner, but not Johnny Manziel or anything like that. And talking to some folks around the industry, it is a bit surprising that Clemson didn't dabble in the quarterback market in the transfer portal window. Now, more quarterbacks could jump in either today or the next couple of days, because while the window closes today, you have 48 hours to process that paperwork. So you might see some players pop up Wednesday or Thursday. But really, there are no great quarterbacks out there. That might be the reason that Clemson is rolling with Cade Klubnik right now. That does not bode well for their future. Well, in this game anyway. Because what was last year? Was it Cade Klubnik or was it Garrett Riley? I think at some point you have to sort of accept the fact that it was the quarterback and not the coach, because we know what the coach can do. Led TCU to the national championship game a couple years ago. Garrett Riley's done that. And Dabo Swinney has given him the reins and said, dude, go do your thing. Maybe he just can't. Maybe he just can't. Now, I love their offensive line and the skill pieces around on the offense and defensive side of the ball for that matter. But how are they going to hang in this game? We know how Georgia treats these games. It's like a heavyweight fighter. They just kind of dance around early, may even get into a deficit early, just kind of let things come to them. And then by the third quarter, they've just suffocated you and the game is over. That's what I think this will be, or at least how Georgia will treat it. Because look at what Georgia actually is. Georgia, they take a little step back from the receiver standpoint, and including Brock Bowers in that. But from a quantity standpoint, they have more to choose from, and that includes Oscar Delp. Dominic Lovitz, we've seen him. Rah-Rah, we've seen him. They've got, 3 or 4 from the portal that they can use. Carson Beck has a full offseason as the number 1 starter. They get Trevor Etienne. Now, I know the depth at running back is not necessarily as what it is in previous years, but look at what Trevor Etienne can do. He can be a receiver out of the backfield better than a lot of other Georgia running backs have, and that was a big part of how Georgia won national championships, specifically with James Cook. So Trevor Etienne can be that guy, even if he's 1A at running back. They can treat him as 1B at times and send him out in pass routes. The offense is not going to miss a beat. And then defensively, I don't even care. Like, honestly, Georgia's at this point where I'm just like, whatever. Georgia's going to be fine. They're going to be fine. I don't care who they lose. Literally don't care. So what is that 12.5 point spread? Is it disrespectful to Clemson or a compliment to Georgia? It is absolutely both. Absolutely both. In years past, Clemson would have the benefit of the doubt, most specifically because of the defense. I know we're talking about offense and Trevor and Deshaun and all that stuff. Most specifically because of the defense. They regenerate defensive lineman after defensive lineman, and that's what's ultimately led to them to the success they had in 2016 and 2018. They haven't been able to do that. Did they have that this year? Not as much as that as they had in those years, and as a result, they're going to be relying a lot on the offense, and I just don't buy it. And then Georgia's just an absolute monster. We know what Georgia is. Last one, week 1, Sunday night in Las Vegas. LSU, USC. You know what? I might try to see, I guess I'm the CEO of this company, so I can do whatever I want, but I might try to do the double dip. We're assuming Clemson, Georgia is going to be Saturday night in Atlanta, and LSU, USC is Sunday night in Las Vegas. Might have to take a flight out to Vegas after the Georgia-Clemson game. Check out that one in Vegas, and then maybe stick around because Vegas is awesome. But LSU -6 over USC. Let me tell you, if I'm in Vegas and I see that number on the board, I am running as far away from the ticket counter as I can possibly get. There are way too many variables in that one to make an investment. Way too many. What do we know about LSU? They lost, I think, the best offensive coordinator from last season and the Heisman Trophy winner at quarterback. In addition, one of the best wide receivers in the country, a guy who was a finalist for the Biletnikoff Award. And LSU fans, I know you got mad at me because I picked Marvin Harrison. Fine. Malik Neighbors was still awesome, obviously, as the draft indicates. So all of that combined with LSU needs to be put in the context of how much of a step back is that offense going to take? Because it is going to take a step back, which means the defense is going to have to take a massive step forward. It's almost impossible to be worse than they were last year. Almost impossible, right? I don't think that the offense will be able to pick up the slack. I think the defense is going to be better. I still don't necessarily know how they're going to use Perkins. That was a big problem last year. I know we've heard reports that he's going to move back out. Like, whatever. I need to see it first. I'm in see it before I believe it mode with how that defense operates. But the offense is going to take a really significant step back. And that's not necessarily a slight against Garrett Nussmeier. I see him pop up on some of these lists of who's going to take a step forward at quarterback and could play themselves into the first round. If you missed yesterday's show, I said Brock Vandegrift from Kentucky. Garrett Nussmeier's on some of those lists, and okay, but I think that is sort of a residual effect of people assuming that the offense is still going to be what it was last year, and it's not. So I need to see that offense. I need to see what it looks like. Because the limited time we've seen Garrett Nussmeier, and really that was in the SEC championship game 2 years ago in the second half when he looked pretty good against Georgia, and more specifically Georgia's backups. And then last year when he came in for Jaden, when Jaden got hurt and, he had to orchestrate a couple of drives. Is he all that? Man, I don't think so. But then on USC's side, are they going to actually play defense? Are they actually going to play defense? The answer to me, and it's a very easy answer. Hell no, they're not going to play defense. USC doesn't even care about tackling. They don't even try. And it's a philosophical problem with Lincoln Riley. It's been that way no matter where Lincoln Riley has been, whether it's Oklahoma or USC. Every single year, he tries to implement the philosophy of get great offense and find just enough defense. And while that is the path to success in this day of college football, you at least have to teach fundamentals defensively. I could tackle better than USC has tackled the last couple of seasons. And go back to last week. We had West Virginia coach Neil Brown on, and we had a good conversation about tackling and fundamentals. And he said that even though in this day and age of limited time where you can tackle to the ground, that A, he takes advantage of all of those opportunities, and B, he has drills every single day to simulate that as much as humanly possible. USC just does 7-on-7. I mean, it's just two-hand touch. And until proven otherwise, I'm not going to buy USC's defense as anything more than what we've seen at Oklahoma under Riley and at USC under Riley. Oh, and by the way, they lose the Heisman Trophy winner from 2 years ago. They lose some dudes offensively, and they're bringing in Jaden Maeva to battle with Miller Moss. I think right now, USC is suffering from Joe Milton syndrome. What do I mean by that? Tennessee 2 years ago, Hendon Hooker's out. Joe Milton comes in, lights Clemson up in the bowl game, and suddenly he just shoots up NFL draft boards, Heisman Trophy lists, all that stuff. Miller Moss had a great bowl game. Is he going to be able to do what Jalen Hurts did in that offense? Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Caleb Williams? No, he's not that kind of quarterback. Jade Maeva is. But what's his upside? We don't know. We haven't seen it. And I don't think we're going to see it. I just don't think that this team, this USC team, is built to even contend. And now let's put this all together, right, for this week 1 game. LSU questions all over the place. USC questions all over the place. Here's me just running as fast as I can, getting out of the casino, not going to bet on this. And if you're watching, you see me running, sort of. And if you're listening, go back and watch it. There's absolutely no way I would touch this game. It's going to be an awesome game, but there's no way I'm touching it. Speaking of LSU, you can go to breakingtea.com. Grab this Call in Baton Rouge shirt from the folks over at Breaking Tea. Go to breakingtea.com/smotheredandcovered. You can get this along with all kinds of gear. Breaking Tea does a great job with things like this, Call in Baton Rouge, that are specific to teams. You can also find viral moments. If something goes viral one night in college football, baseball, wherever, it's up on Breaking Tea with a creative concept within an hour. So go to breakingtea.com/smotheredandcovered, and you can see that. Revenue sharing. All right, this is from ESPN. I think it's Dan Murphy and Pete Thamel. Sources indicated the top-end revenue share number per school, once it's determined, would be in the neighborhood of $20 million. And this is after all these wranglings and lawsuits, and they're trying to come to a settlement. Has not been settled. But whatever that number is, schools can opt in to this program. Opting in, that's very interesting because it doesn't necessarily mean mandatory. But this part of the story is where it really gets juicy. Texas A&M Athletic Director Trev Alberts, for example, recently told the Bryan College Station Eagle that schools could be adding $15 to $20 million to their budgets annually for what he termed a new expense category. That's pretty much broken down to look at an Excel spreadsheet, right-click, add row below, and there's your salary cap for college football. A, that's a lot of money, which is going to lead to layoffs within the athletic department, at least initially. But B, what's really interesting is that they're trying to streamline the process, which is what a lot of people want. It's kind of what people have been clamoring for. Wow, 1,500 of you watching live. Thank you, guys. Spread the word. They want to streamline this like the NFL. And why I do not like college football becoming like the NFL, this is something that I think a lot of people can get behind, right? It brings everybody together. It's a structure. It's a system that I think everybody can agree upon would be fair to big money teams and smaller revenue teams. So cool, right? On the surface. Execution's different. Because on one side, 10, 15 years ago, we had everything going on under the table. Now we have Wild Wild West where everybody's getting all this money and everybody knows about it, right? So what does this salary cap actually do? It kind of blends both worlds because, yes, you will have a team that maxes out this salary cap 100%. If they put penalties in like a luxury tax for Major League Baseball, sure, let's see what happens there because nobody will go over this $20 million. They'll just start funneling it under the table again. So it's going to be a mix of both worlds. I love the idea. I think it's a great idea, and it will help. I think in reality, it will be what's best because when all is said and done, you're going to have structure. And you're going to have parity as a result. There's still going to be money under the table, which, okay, you're just going to have to accept that. Because it's just part of the reality. If you have a team that gets paid $20 million total, but you can go out there and pay $5 more to get a stud quarterback, you're paying that $5 more. 100% you are. You just got to find a way to do it. So, yes, it's the best option. Yes, it's the best way. But no, it's not going to be as clean because, like we talk about in the show all the time, college athletics are beautifully dysfunctional, and we're going to find a way to make it messy no matter what happens. And this is a great way to provide structure, but it's not going to prevent people from cheating. Just not going to happen. That will do it for this edition of College Football Smothered and Covered. Really appreciate you guys checking out the show. Reminder, spread the word. Share this with your friends. They might not know how to get to podcasts on their phones. Share it to them. Share it with them. Let them know. They're going to find all kinds of stuff out there in the college football world. We encourage you, of course, here to go listen to all of those. Go watch all of those shows as well. Tomorrow, going to be talking a little bit about gambling and who's going to be the first pick in the NFL draft. There are a lot of different options out there. We'll do that tomorrow. Until then, enjoy your Tuesday, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.